open?
Y'all miss the cold open? You
No,
actually like the cold opens?
This is a completely scripted cold open.
No, it's not. It's not
Hit it,
scripted.
Bobby.
This is not scripted. All right, we are at the last week of the weekend spread. It all comes down to this. Massive weeks overall. Things are in chaos. It all comes down to this, not just for the college football folks, but for us as well. I don't want to say it all comes down to this for a third time. I'm hitting the intro. Hello and welcome back to the Weekend Spread. I'm Bobby Howard. With me today, as always, we've got Jameson, Ty, and Boaton Blake. And folks, we are at the end of the line here for our picks competition that we've been doing this entire season from week 0 to now. It all ends here. And guys, we have a slate of 10 magnificent games. We're picking every single conference championship, from the Sun Belt to the SEC, from the MAC to the Pac-12. All of it will be covered. Can't wait for it. But look, as I'm sure all the viewers don't care about college football. They care about the weekend spread standings. And a lot's happened. Jameson, you went 9-1 last week, moved into second place. You're knocking on the door with Boaton Blake sitting at first at 76 and 62. You're 73 and 65. I'm in third, 71 and 67. Just narrowly ahead of Ty, who's 69 and 69. Nice. So, a lot to play for here in the final week. And Jameson, I just got to ask, what did it feel like going on that hot streak last week?
It was expected. We all knew it was coming. It was coming right at the end. And let me tell you something. I should have had that 10-0. I really should have. But I faded Rocco Becht. I should have just went with my gut. And we always knew we were Rocco Becht people, right, Blake?
Yep. Big 12 freshman of the year, I guess.
That was the best Farmageddon of all time. Snow.
It was great.
Somehow going like high scoring.
It was high scoring. The ball was flying. It was like pouring down snow. Like the ground was covered. They didn't have a single shovel in sight. It was beautiful, beautiful college football. And why I got the mic right now, Jameson, you're never gonna get this. You're never gonna get that 10-0. I am the king of the 10-0. I am the king of the 0-7. Nobody can go undefeated or all defeated like me. And also, too, just to twist the knife a little bit more, Jameson's celebrating. But I took Boko to the promised land. I told y'all, I used my pot of greed pick on it. I knew it was going to happen. I sniffed out Jameson's trap. Thank God, did not take that UCF game. And I went and did what Jameson couldn't do. I parted the seas, and I took Boko behind me, and we walked to that dry land. So, rough. Although Jameson has that 9-1, rough week for Jameson. It's that one loss is not indicative of how many L's he took last week.
You keep on saying it's rough, but let me tell you something. Anything that you can do to help Texas State, I commend you. You say this is an L for me, I'm taking it as a W.
Look, we have a long off season to talk about this, by the way, but I think we got to propose a rule. Boko's kind of got to get banned from the pot of greed, because
who the hell is this guy?
Didn't you take it? You're bitter because you lost too.
I won. No, Jameson is the one who lost. I won on my Boko, but the problem is 3 out of the 4 picks were Boko. It can't just be a free Boko pick. Everyone picks Boko on these. We have to make it more variable. So maybe we implement a free Boko pick, like a free Boko square every week. Every season. Every season, everyone gets a free Boko square
on the slate.
Yeah. Ty, though, great week for you as well. 7-3. You're knocking on the door of surviving this punishment. I gotta ask, how are you feeling?
I'm feeling good. Like, I knew that Bobby was trending. See, I'm trending upward, right? I got bored in the lead, so I decided to tank a little bit mid-season, go to last, and then just recover at the end. So I'm trending upward. I texted Bobby all of my picks before this as a psychological tactic, but also
Texted
He is,
all
in
of
fact,
us those picks.
he is in fact a ball not knower. Yes, well, but
This is
Blake
true.
is a
We
ball
do know
knower,
this.
which is why he's in the lead. Jameson is, dumb luck. He's in second currently, and then, but I decided to help Bobby out, so I've kind of handicapped myself, but I'm excited.
I'm mostly a ball knower, for the record. I'm
No.
second
Mostly,
overall.
yes.
I'm second
No.
overall, and if you look at the picks by year, I'm second, right behind Blake. Blake is the ball knower, although it is hilarious that Blake,
Well-
despite being a ball knower, is great at college football, horrible at college basketball, but he focuses all his energy on college basketball. Blake,
I don't focus all my energy, and actually things are turning around. I have a new model. I'm chasing success. I've been seeing a lot of green every single night when it comes to college basketball, so...
Okay. The captain has green seas ahead of him. That's good to hear. But as mentioned, this is the last proper weekend spread of the year. We're gonna have bowl picks. Those just don't have the same hit. They don't have the same energy to it. We're excited about those for sure. But I want to give a couple shout outs to folks watching live. And if you're here, tap in. We'll give you shout outs. Shout out Timothy Green popping in here from West Virginia. Our guy, Lord King Big Nuts,
Lord King.
happy to be here for one of the last ones of the year. Appreciate you being able to tune in live. Whitman here as well. You got Vaden.
Let's go.
Hey, look.
Let's go.
Normally on most OU podcasts, you might get hate for that, Vaden, but this is one where everybody loves throwing the horns up for some reason. They're all
Bobby will
talking about
eventually-
that.
Bobby will eventually throw the
This-
horns up.
I've done
This
it
is, in
already.
fact, he has done it. This is
I've
in fact
done
the
it.
only OU podcast that has at least a weekly double horns up.
I did it
if
one
not- if
time.
not
I
at
did
least
it
single
one
horns up.
time, and reoccurring guest Chris Eilenstein will not stop sending it to me over and over again. I did it once. That just shows. This is why I don't do it. But anyways, awful. So, all right, let's dive into this. I don't want it to go, but let's dive into this one last time and start with our first game. And look, just a little bit of warning to people watching. We're going to start with a really big game. We're going to get a lot of group of 5 ones in between, so stick with us. But honestly, you're going to want to see the crumbs. But if you're watching this on replay, we'll have timestamps, so if you need to jump, you can jump. But we're diving in straight off the top with a massive, massive Friday conference championship game. It's the Oregon Ducks, 11-1, 10-2 against the spread. They're trying to avenge their only loss of the season to the Washington Huskies, who are 12-0, 5-7 against the spread. Ducks favored by 9.5. You can find this one 7 p.m. Central on ABC on Friday. So massive one here. Possible college football playoff bid at stake. Blake, as our current person at the top of the lead here, you take this one away. So what do you think? Do you think Ty's beloved Duckies, despite having lost Oregon, not only get the win, but do you think they can cover that lofty 9.5?
Easy ball knower pick. This is one, if you've just been watching college football this year, you know which way this is going. It's going to be all Ducks. This is going to be, this game is really hyped, and for good reason. We saw the matchup before. It was a great game on Washington's turf, and now, basically, I think either one of these teams with a win are in the playoffs. So the implications are high. Washington hasn't looked the same since that game. They just have not. They struggled against a really bad Washington State team last week. Didn't look right against Oregon State. Didn't look right against Stanford or Arizona State. A lot of these bottom dwellers. And I just think Michael Penix is hurt. He's hurt. It's nothing that's going to take him out of the game, but he just hasn't looked right since. Oregon's offense, too. Their defense is significantly better than Washington's, but that offense, they found the cheat code that they don't need Bo Nix to make any good throws. That guy's just throwing little 4-yard passes, and those Oregon receivers are taking it to the house. They got athletes. They got dudes on that squad. This is just an easy one. Easy, 9.5 points. I would take some alt lines. I would take 14, 17. I think this one's just going to look really, really ugly. Sad because Washington had a good run, but it's going to be Oregon in the playoffs, so it could be the Ducks.
Man, I am so happy because Blake's claiming to be a ball knower here. You're just buying into the feed, what all of the media have been putting into. Everyone's
not a-
saying, oh, Washington's not that good.
They
Oh,
haven't
look at
been
this,
good.
everybody. Oh, look at this. Come eat it. And it's just making this line parachute. 9.5 points? That's way too much. I think you're just buying into the hype on the wrong side, Blake. Give me Washington plus 9.5. I don't think they win, but they keep it close enough. Me and Blake are now one different from each other. Only takes a couple more. Give me Washington.
Okay.
Give it
I
to
see
me.
what
No, I
Jameson-
seriously
No,
was gonna
I'm
pick
fine
Washington
with
from the
it. I'm
beginning.
fine with
I was seriously gonna pick Washington from the beginning. I'm not doing any kind of collusion. Seriously.
He can collude. He can collude all he wants.
it's
I
not-
will
it's
just
not
beat
collusion.
him. I will just beat him. Like,
It's
I will
not
just
collusion.
beat him.
Opposite of collusion.
It is not collusion that he doesn't know ball.
It's gamesmanship, if anything.
It really, he can gamesmanship all he wants. Like, I'm just gonna beat him. Like, I'm just gonna beat him straight up. I
Good.
get
Bring it.
all the picks
Bring
I
it.
want. So I'm
Y'all
just gonna beat him
clowned me
straight
for
up.
BYU last week. I'm not gonna lie. Y'all clowned me big time on that one. I got laughed.
That one
laughed
just-
out this podcast.
I hate that that you hit on BYU, and the one I got laughed on deserved to be laughed on.
Yes.
With Texas Tech. Texas didn't even practice in pads that week. Like, awful
God, that's
ball.
rough.
Ball not nowhere take all the way there. So, look, I'm just going to stick with it. Oregon this entire season has played focused. They played great. And, honestly, that loss to Washington, they should have won in the first place. Now you're playing at a neutral site in Las Vegas. I think the Ducks, they seem focused. Dan Lanning gets guys up for big games. They're going to be out for revenge. And with Washington, they just genuinely have not looked good since. I know conference championships, things are tighter. These Florida games usually don't pan out the way you think they do. But, I think Vegas genuinely knows something here with this 9.5. I think Bo Nix and the Ducks are looking to make a massive statement. Because it's not enough to just win on this. They have to get into the college football playoff. And the way to do that is to win big. I have Oregon minus 9.5 here. So go Ducks.
Here's the thing. This is a beautiful storyline I'm about to give you guys with foreshadowing for our last pick of the podcast. 2018 OU, right? Regular season, our only loss was to Texas, our out-of-state rivals in a pretty hotly contested rivalry game that we got to then go avenge in the championship game. I think that's this one. Like, Michael Penix deservingly got a lot of hype at the start of the year, but has just not been able to maintain that level of play. And this Washington team, I think, obviously they've had a tougher schedule than OU, right? This isn't a bias thing, but they haven't had the most challenging schedule down the road, and they've really, struggled with it. Obviously they've made things happen, but you see it in the rankings. Like, this Washington team is just not getting a ton of respect. And I think that's because people who don't have jobs where they work on the weekend and don't watch the games, like maybe someone on this pod who thinks they're good, see that 12-0 and that 9.5 points. And they're like, yeah. So I think Oregon, here's the foreshadowing part. I think Oregon avenges their regular season out-of-state rivalry loss in the championship game, goes on to the playoffs and loses to Alabama. Because that's what OU did in that year. So how that works out, right? How that works out, we'll find out. We'll find out later in the podcast.
Okay.
How did we get number 1 seed Alabama in the playoffs? You will find out.
Okay. All right. We'll get to that. I'm on the seat of my on the edge of my seat for that one.
But I have the Ducks, to be clear.
Yeah. All right. So Jameson is on a little bit of a
Good.
husky island there.
Good.
He loves it. He's excited about it. Let's move on to our other Friday conference championship game. It's a New Mexico State Aggies, 10-3 overall, 10-2-1 against the spread. They started this season on week 0, and they're finishing it on conference championship week. They're headed to Liberty for the Conference USA Championship. The Flames, 12-0, 8-4 against the spread. Jamie Chadwell and crew have that thing rolling. Liberty favored by 10.5 here. You can find this one 6 p.m. Central on CBS Sports Network on Friday. Keep in mind. Ty, kick us off here. Who do you like?
Yeah, so something to keep in mind, right? One of New Mexico State's losses is to Liberty. Let me see. It was 33-17. So not a great one. New Mexico also lost, or New Mexico State, like we talked about, lost week 0 to UMass, and then they lost to Hawaii. So they've like inexplicably lost to some absolute stank teams. But then they've done things like beat Auburn. So it is really hard to tell. I'm gonna have to go with Liberty here just because this New Mexico State team, Liberty's been pretty consistent. New Mexico State, the wheels will just randomly fall off of this team, and I can't bet on that even with the points. Give me Liberty the Flames, maybe.
I think that's what they are. And you're right. New Mexico State has had an awful start this year. They were 2-3 through their first 5. Geez, I'm horrible at math. Including losses to Liberty, UMass, and Hawaii, which is damn near unforgivable. But since then, they've been on an absolute tear. And in this case, I'm kind of going with a hot hand here. I think Liberty will win this game. They've been insane. They've been incredibly good this season. Don't get me wrong. What Chadwell's doing is remarkable, but I feel like it's hard to beat the same team twice. You have tape. New Mexico State's kind of on fire right now. I think they do enough to get this 10.5 point cover, and that hook is spooky as hell. So I'm not going to judge New Mexico State by what they did early on, but rather who they are right now. I don't think they're going to win this game. I think Liberty has a little bit too much juice, but New Mexico State keeps it close. So we're going to go with the Aggies plus 10.5.
I love how Bobby said right in with the hot hand and went with New Mexico State instead of the team that hasn't lost this year. Just the team that hasn't lost a single game, but right in the hot hand in this one.
Liberty hasn't beaten Auburn, a team that almost beat Alabama. That should have beaten Alabama, keep in mind.
New Mexico State's kind of like Blake. They have the highest highs, but also the lowest lows of this matchup.
Mm-hmm. And here's the thing. I know Blake's going to pick New Mexico State because we have a bond with Diego Pavia, and I just can't fade Diego here. I saw him play football at the beginning of the season last year, and I said, damn, this dude's kind of slippery. And he's shown to be a good college quarterback. He throws a couple interceptions every once in a while, but he's actually going to be a fun guy to watch on Friday. Give me Diego just to make a couple of plays to keep this close enough for a cover.
Jameson read my mind. Go, Diego, go. There is no way. I think Liberty is probably a significantly better team. We saw it early in the season. They beat them, and Liberty is just kind of been trouncing the Conference USA, whereas kind of New Mexico State struggles here and there. They win games, kind of keep it close, but still are able to win. But I can't be going into this game with 10.5 points and Diego Pavia's running all over me. I can't have that because that guy is just going to be flying. He's going to be flying this game, and there is nothing worse when you're trying to separate with a 10.5 point cover and their quarterback just keeps on getting 7-yard run, 7-yard run, 7-yard run. He is electric. I think Liberty probably wins this one, but there's no way I'm going against Diego. Give me the Aggies.
I see it right now. I'm going to finish last because I picked New Mexico State and Ty had Liberty. That is 100%
beautiful. It's just a great way to start.
Oh, God.
Who has mulligans left?
Because
I need to. Can I?
I think we got to just outlaw mulligans last year.
Outlawing mulligans
season, right?
on the last week is just not acceptable. Is what I'm trying to get at.
Well, I don't think anyone has
don't outlaw
one
them.
left,
I don't think we. Do you have one, Jameson?
Because
I know
I
B-Time
used
Bobby
mine already.
Okay, yeah.
I've used mine.
everyone's used it.
Okay, good.
Okay, cool. Good. Yeah, you got to stick with your guns here. Let's move on to our next one. It's a big one. It's the MAC championship. Miami of Ohio, 10-2. The Redhawks. They're 10-2 overall, 9-3 against the spread. They're heading to Detroit to take on the Toledo Rockets. 11-1, 6-6 against the spread. Toledo, favored by 8 here. You can find this one a crisp 11 a.m. Central over at Ford Field. It's inside, so it doesn't matter. Find this one on ESPN. Blake, kick us off here. I'm sure you've been watching a ton of action, so you can give us all a lot of really good insights here. What do you think? Seems like two pretty solid powerhouses here.
Yeah, this one's tricky because Miami of Ohio, they got Brett Gabbert. Brett Gabbert, younger brother of Blaine Gabbert, legit. Like, he's probably, him or Rourke are, I think, the two best quarterbacks easily in the MAC this year. They are both fantastic. But on the other hand, Toledo, just like roster-wise, has a significant talent advantage about every position besides quarterback. To Miami of Ohio, these teams played once this year. Toledo won by 4. This one's hard because I feel like Toledo plays with their food too much. They'll like clinch the MAC championship or a berth there and then just plays around, keeps teams close, lose late in the season, and then they have to reactivate that switch at the end. The good thing is they played around, but they didn't lose. Oh, this one's hard because it's like if I take Toledo and Brett just flames me at the end, I'm going to take Toledo in the points. I think they're that much better. I just think they are the top of the class of the MAC. They kind of separate from the rest. This one could be dicey. But I think Toledo just significantly better than the rest. They played Illinois earlier in the season, which is a Big Ten team, only lost by 2. They're a solid squad. So if they play to their potential, they win easy. But Brett Gabbert scares me.
I am so mad because I thought you were going to pick Miami of Ohio, and I was going to slam you with the biggest ball not knower card ever because Brett Gabbert's been out for over a month.
Oh, he has been?
He hasn't
Oh, shoot. Then I feel even better.
Over.
I have not watched any Miami ball. Yes!
This dude has been out for a while now.
Oh my God!
I remember whenever I was looking at Miami, Ohio, I remember the Cincinnati game, and I was like, "Oh yeah, Brett Gabbert was pretty good." I was like, "This guy hasn't been recording any stats recently." Give me Toledo. You got really lucky on this one, Blake.
Oh, that saved me.
Really
That was about to be a pit of despair pick.
Yeah, this is
that was gonna be.
This is tough. Because usually with the MAC, it never turns out the way you think it does. Like, ever.
You are right. You are right.
Like every single time you think one thing with the MAC, it goes the other way. And wouldn't it just be so hilarious that Miami of Ohio, without Gabbert, finds a way to make this game close or finds a way to win it? It's hard to beat the same team twice. I'll keep saying that over and over again. Blake will probably start to chirp at me.
The stats. I need to go look it back up again, but the stats are there. We read them off last year. That
I don't care.
It's like very much like even. Like it's just straight even. Like it's not even a statistical advantage whatsoever.
I think Miami, like the MAC overall and Miami of Ohio overall, they're grubby enough to get this cover. That 8 line is weird. I don't like it. It's almost too weird where it makes me want to pick Toledo, but I'm not in the business of picking -8s here. Let's go with the Red Hawks to get the cover. Miami of Ohio +8s to play.
I don't understand, right? I'll be the villain. I don't understand why we're going to give attention to teams whose greatest claim to fame is only lost to Illinois by 2. Tulane has better branding, so I will go with Tulane. I do not support the group of 5 or group of 6.
Toledo, right?
Toledo,
yes. Tulane does have better branding, though. Like Freudian slip. Tulane has awesome branding. Give me Toledo. Ruined my bad guy take by.
Oh, it's fine.
I was gonna say that the Max branding does look a lot like a small to mid-size U.S. cities like soccer club. It looks a lot like the OKC Energy branding.
Oh my God! Like the colors are basically one
like
for
the
one.
little shield shape. Yeah,
That's hilarious.
Okay, I found the stat. I have the updated stat. So whenever teams who have played in the regular season meeting in the conference title game against the spread, this is not straight up, but against the spread, 26-25 in the revenge angle. So it is dead even. There's no advantage to playing a team.
Well, that's
again.
against the spread. You're talking about against the spread. The spread is designed to be as close to 50-50 on a long enough timeline. Every spread should be 50-50.
No, against the spread would mean, like, in this case, it would count even if Miami kept it close. Like, it's not saying...
but that would count as a win. Yeah.
but they're losing a lot. Like, it's against the spread.
The spread can be 8. The spread can be 2.
It's not
like
26 and 20. Like, that means usually the team that lost is probably going to be the underdog going up against the favorite, and they are 50% of the time covering on the spread. So that doesn't even mean they're winning outright. That just means, half of the time they're covering the points.
Yes, but exactly half the time.
I think for me overall, it's Mac is weird, and this just feels weird. So I'm rolling with the dumb team. So let's move on to our next game.
I'm not supporting. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
Toledo does have the rocket pointed at somebody's stadium.
I
in
just
their
want
own
to
stadium.
clarify.
Yeah.
I'm not supporting Bobby here. Blake is arguing something that's just a mathematical fact as evidence of something.
Okay, so Ty, you like to talk about Tulane. Here's Tulane. The SMU Mustangs, 10-2, who look, they got beat by our Sooners. They got beat by Boat and Blake's Horned Frogs, but they haven't lost since. They haven't lost any of the other games not involving weekend spread teams. So weekend spread undefeated against SMU, you could say. The Ponies, 10-2 overall, 7-5 against the spread. They're heading to Yulman Stadium to take on the Tulane Green Wave, 11-1, only lost to Ole Miss. They're 5-7 against the spread, though. A little bit putrid there. Tulane favored by Tree Fitty, 3.5. I can find this one 3 p.m. Central on ABC. Ty, kick us off here. Who do you like?
Well, I love SMU. I'm a big SMU. Should have got their offensive coordinator. I think, we probably made the right hires, but I was a big champion. If you listen to that podcast of SMU's OC, they have been really good. Like you touched on, both of these teams, I mean, arguably the 2 of the best teams in the group of 5. That's even casuals like myself can see that, especially if you just look at their losses. I mean, you're talking about, 2 teams in the top 15 out of the 3 total losses on the board here. And then TCU, who, while they had a disappointing year, is still, this is maybe a ball not nowhere take. I don't think TCU is that easy of a team to beat. It's still a well-coached team, and there is still talent on that. So impressive records by both of these. I just have to go. I got to go with the Green Wave. This is not a branding pick. I like SMU a lot more than I like Tulane, but I watched the entirety of that Tulane Ole Miss game, and Tulane didn't cover that one. But that game went down to like the last, I know it was 5 minutes. It may have even been like 2 minutes. It was still like neck and neck. And then Ole Miss got a big touchdown, and then they got a big like scoop and score defensive touchdown or something like that. And the score made it look different. Tulane, had some luck gone their way early on in the season. You're talking about an undefeated team that has a win over a not great, but not bad SEC team. So I got to go with Tulane minus 3.5 here.
Yeah, this line, I feel like, look, if SMU are healthy, I'd probably ride the Ponies here. The line seems a little bit fishy, but Tulane at home with Michael Pratt, Preston Stone's looking questionable. He's probably going to play, but he's hurt. Same with Jalen Knighton. Look, SMU's looked pretty solid this season. But to me, I just think what Tulane does, I don't see them overlooking this. Obviously, they have a really poor record against the spread, but in a big game like this, they're gonna come out to play. They want their New Year's Six bowl, and I think they're gonna get it. I think they're gonna cover the 3.5. I think it's gonna be a bit of a sweaty 3.5. SMU is good enough to make to keep this tight. This is their last game in the American Conference. I keep forgetting they're going to the ACC, which is hilarious. But I think Tulane sends them out with an L. So give me Tulane minus 3.5.
Yeah, Tulane being at home makes things so perfect. That atmosphere already in New Orleans is electric. And we saw it last year in the American Championship versus UCF, like how crazy that stadium can get. If you're telling me a home stadium gives you 2 or 3 points on the spread, I think that stadium should give you 4 or 5. I think it's, you need to really put in a lot more stock into what Tulane's home field advantage is here. Give me Tulane just for that angle at 3.5.
Yeah, make it a consensus. This one was super easy. 3.5 is like, and Bobby said Preston Stone might play, might not. No, he's definitely not playing. He is out for the season. He has a broken fibula. Like, he is like very much done for the. He is very much done for the season.
Oddschecker.com said he was questionable with leg.
Dude, look up just Preston Stone injury on Google and see what pops up. It's very much confirmed. It is very much confirmed that he is not playing in this game.
Well, I feel better about my pick then.
Yes, this is the Brett Gabbert moment all over again. He is. Yes,
you can't pull a Greg Jennings. Put the team.
But also,
back.
you really can't take Blake for his word in terms of his injury analysis, Bobby. So anything's possible.
I will say this one is not a questionable. This one is very much.
This man's leg was broken a week ago.
And I was wrong about Jaden Daniels that one time, but not really that wrong. Like, that man is
he broke his leg.
Allergic to big games, like refuses to play in a single big game that Kansas ever encounters, just because he wants to keep his like precious record of like they're gonna run so much bull crap later on down the line. Be like, the what if Jaden Daniels could stay healthy for an entire season, what would Kansas would have done? I'm not gonna have it. That man's just afraid of the big moment, and that's what's hurting his back. But I know Kansas is not even on the slate this week. Give me, Tulane. Been very impressed with Tulane this season, especially although they were by far probably going to be the best American team coming into the season. The fact that you had all the hype after last year, you had Michael Pratt coming back, you had solid pieces there, and you really backed it up. Like, I don't think the American is all that good, but you could... some of the teams that they played, they could have slipped up against. Like, I was very impressed last week that they just put UTSA away. Like, UTSA, although the record doesn't show it, very hot team. Like, they started off the season bad, but Jeff Traylor got them, like, right back on track. It didn't even look like they would even have a chance at the American Championship, and it came down to the final week of the season. SMU's played nobody, and the two teams that they played that were somewhat somebody, and including mine, which I don't even think were somebody really after our performance this year, just kind of crushed them. Like, I know they kind of were feisty against OU in that third quarter, but I think OU put them away, and I just feel like OU kind of likes to play around with their food a little bit against those small teams, even though they need to start just winning games out, like, definitively. TCU just crushed them bad. And, like, this TCU team we saw was not good. Like, not good at all. Preston Stone didn't play well that game. So, and now, whoever their backup is, I don't even know who their backup is. It's probably going to be somebody bad. Tulane 3.5 just feels like a steal. It feels like a steal.
For sure. All right, we're all in on the green wave. Moving on to our next game. It's the Sun Belt Championship. It's Appalachian State 8-4, 6-5-1. Let's be real, this should be James Madison, but whatever. I'm happy to see Yosef back on the weekend spread. It's been a long time, old friend. Welcome back to the picks. They're heading to Troy, Alabama to take on the Troy Trojans, who are 10-2 overall, 7-5 against the spread. Troy favored by 6. You can find this one 3 p.m. Central on ESPN. Blake, who do you like?
Yeah, this one, very simple for me. I don't choose those teams that didn't deserve to be in the championship. I don't care if it's Yosef, and I love Yosef, but you don't deserve to be here. We were robbed of a Troy James Madison rematch. It was 16-14 the last time, and honestly, a fantastic game. This one had all the hype to be a banger of a college, like a conference final game. I don't get it. James Madison now can go to a bowl. I felt like bowl eligibility was the one kicker that they should, like, if they went to a bowl, they could also be in the championship. I don't get the rules. I don't get why the Sun Belt Conference has to follow what the NCAA says. Like, the conferences, no matter how big or small, you make your own rules. You have the power. The NCAA has zero power to do these things. Let James Madison play in this game. It makes no sense, but if I gotta choose this matchup, but I know we had a lot of love for Troy at the beginning of the season. I felt like they got a little bit of my South Alabama love, and it fell flat because I feel like the only other time we picked them was against Kansas State, and they got absolutely smacked. But Gunnar Watson is good. They have a fantastic defense. And I also think it's just like Summerall, their head coach, he's probably going to leave soon because he's done a fantastic job at this Troy program. They're going to smack him. They're just going to smack him around. App State does not deserve to be in this game. Give me Troy.
Give me Appalachian State, Blake.
Okay.
Here's the thing. Troy, yes, they've been the solid team all year. But Appalachian State, I feel like what they did versus James Madison on game day just shows me that they can show up and win a big game in a big-time situation. That's all the argument that I need here. I think I can take the +6 here and just hopefully we got a fun game on our hands.
Yeah, look, this line has actually kind of trended towards App State. This opened at 6.5. And I love Yosef. I love App State, but frankly, like, they just quite aren't the App State of the past. You know, they don't have that same energy that they used to. I love them, but it's strictly business. And Troy, to me, is a better team. They should actually be in this game, for one. And App State's biggest game of the season, their best moment, they thrive whenever they're catching teams unaware, when they're sort of smelling their own, smelling their own shit, college game days in town. Oh, we're North Carolina. No one can beat us. Drake May is going to win the Heisman. That's when App State thrives. But Troy is a program and a team that focuses on like championships, and I don't see them letting this one slip. Give me Troy -6. It pains me to say that, but I just think they're the better team, and I think they're going to get things done.
Wouldn't you think that the whole mantra here of you don't deserve to be here because James Madison should be here is something that Appalachian State should fall into this category of, oh, they're just being overlooked? Doesn't that fit the category?
But they shouldn't be there because it's like, well, we're at 8-4.
But then they feel deep down they should be there because they beat James Madison head to head.
Yeah, but they didn't win.
I know, but they didn't deserve.
They lost a lot of games. They lost a lot of games.
But I'm saying the locker room. I bet you feels and believes in themselves because they beat the team that should have been there. I'm telling you, you can trick any players into thinking anything. AKA Georgia last year, you can trick them into thinking anything. I guarantee you, that's what they're saying in the locker room right now.
Hey, look, I see what you're saying, but I'm still sticking with Troy on this one.
That's totally good. You picked Troy to beat Kansas State at the beginning of the season. You've been a believer in this team as well.
They're good. They're good.
I'm good. They are a good football team.
Who's App State?
But I'm saying Bobby's also been a Troy believer. It's not like he's betraying Yosef here because he's also been a big time Troy person as well.
But I'm not picking Troy because I love them. I'm picking them. It's a utilitarian thing. It's not out of love. It's just because I know they can win really good ball games in the Sun Belt. And, they played spoiler in the past. I don't know. But Yosef, App State, they lost to, UNC, Wyoming, Teal Chickens, and Old Dominion.
And see, I feel better. I looked this up. I feel so much better about this pick. Last year, Troy, 7-point favorites against Coastal Carolina, the Darlings, smacked them across the face in that game. I feel good about this. This is such a well-coached team. They are so well-coached. They're just going to whack. They're just going to smack Jameson in the face. It's going to be so swift. The justice is going to be so pure.
That's why I've been big on Troy, is because I always feel like they're not sexy. They're boring. They have a stupid T as their logo. They have just kind of boring colors. They're not very lovable, but they're good. And they get stuff done. And that's why I'm going with they're very utilitarian. And that's why I think that pick feels good. I'm talking too long about Troy.
He might be distracted. We've seen a lot of distracted coaches fall up short in these games. You never know.
Maybe. We'll see. Ty, who do you feel in this one?
Look, I'm surprised that Bobby has the right read on this. First, not editor's note, but a special note. I just now learned that Troy's in Alabama. They just had an Ohio vibe about them. I just assumed that they were in Ohio.
Same thing. Oh, Alabama, Ohio.
Fundamentally. But yeah, I'm actually surprised. I think Bobby has a very good read on this one, which is surprising because he's when it comes to championships, a known ball knower. He just doesn't think that they're important. So it's surprising to me that alternate uniform and not winning championship supporter Bobby believes in a team that just has bland branding and wins championships. Give me Troy. That's what's needed to win championships. I wish Oklahoma would take notes.
Okay, fair enough. That's been a fun conversation in our group chats.
Yeah, I'm pretty proud of myself for working in an anti-alternate uniform for OU take into App State versus Troy. That's might be the pinnacle of my season.
Two programs that aren't exactly traditional by any measure, but hey, I'm impressed. I'm impressed with the gymnastics to fit that one in. All right, let's move on to our next one. Blake, I know you're foaming and a frothing for this one. It's the Mountain West Championship, and I have the order incorrect. It's the Boise State Broncos, 7-5, 6-5-1 against the spread. They're heading to the desert to take on the UNLV Runnin' Rebels, who are 9-3, 10-2 against the spread. This one, they'll have to get the confetti and the field flipped after this one, because this is going to be the day after the Pac-12 championship. So Boise favored by 2.5 on the road. You can find this one 2 p.m. Central on Fox. Graphic is incorrect if you're watching live. I apologize. This one is in Vegas. Ty, kick us off here. Who do you like?
This one is tough, right? I've been constantly exposed to Blake's UNLV propaganda, but then the one time I watch them, they look abysmal. So I really don't know what to feel. I kind of like Boise. I don't think I've ever picked a Boise game correctly in the entirety of this podcast. So whatever way I go, everyone might be fortunate to zag me there, but I guess I'll go UNLV. Blake has shouted about it so much. I have to find out what's happening in the desert, even though they're not in the desert for this game, which maybe tells me everything that I need to know. But give me UNLV plus 250.
Yeah, I mean, look, this line, I smell a rat with this line, but I don't see what anyone sees in Boise State. I don't get it. They have not looked great this season. UNLV covers the spread. They just do what they need to do. And there's not really a home field advantage. In fact, if anything, it's probably going to be neutral field. Boise State travels really well. What?
There's a home field advantage. There's a home field advantage in Vegas, baby.
How many people fill up Allegiant Stadium for UNLV games? Not that many, I imagine.
More than you would think. Every time I watch the broadcast, I'm honestly surprised. So,
but more than you think, there's still room for a bunch of Boise fans. This is the only thing they have to do. They're pumped for this. Blake, you'll have your time. You'll have your time on the podium here to spout your UNLV propaganda. But I'm gonna buy into the hype a bit. I'm going to go with UNLV plus 2.5 home dogs, and I feel like Boise sneaky bad in Mountain West championship games. So I'm going to go with the Runnin' Rebs here to pull off this win, which would be massive for them. Big things are happening in the desert, yada, yada. But will they be distracted about Brian Odom? Probably getting poached. You never know. You never know, guys. Jameson?
Was thinking the same thing, Bobby. Are you seeing a trend here? I'm starting to look at coaches that are trying to get poached. I'm trying to pick the opposite side here. And obviously I'm not, perfect in that, but I think Odom his name has been thrown around a lot in the college football hemisphere right now.
Barry Odom, by the way, not Brian.
Yes. I caught on.
Last name podcast.
Yeah, but Odom's name's been thrown around a lot. And I just want to fade Blake's team here as well. I think it's fun. Give me Boise. Give me my third island so far of this short ending.
Oh, of course you're keeping track. You want to catch the king. You want to catch the man, but you are not doing it here. Not in a UNLV Runnin' Rebels game. No, we have been building something in the desert. I've been saying it for years. I've been saying it for 3, 4, 5 years. We have been building something, and you know one thing about building. Rome wasn't built in the day, the desert wasn't built in the day, but we have finally come to the peak of the empire that is the Mountain West Conference, that is UNLV Rebels taking over, finally, as the preeminent program. I've been telling y'all this for the longest time. You've been trying to sell me Boise State, who just can't seem, even though they have the talent advantage, the coaching advantage, the athletic budget advantage over any other program, can't get there. There is a college, not even a university, it's a college down in San Diego City that tries to be the best Mountain West Conference team every single year, fails to do so. This year, not even making a single bowl game, has to go to the fired coach or offensive coordinator of the Colorado Buffs, who only won 4 games this year, completely fell off. His schemes are easy to plan for. You see them once or twice. It's a little confusing that 3rd and 4th time. It's so much easier to plan for. Diego Pavia, not Diego Pavia, sorry. Oh, Jaden Mafia. There's a lot of Vias. There's a lot of Vias in here tonight. Jaden Mavia, oh my gosh. I thought it was going to be Doug Brumfield that was leading us to the charge this year. No, we had somebody waiting in the wings. We had that surprise, that little bit of magic that was waiting on the bench and has ignited the revolution that is the Rebels. UNLV's going to crush them. I know I was at the beginning of the season saying Taylon Green for Boise State was the Mountain West version of Vince Young. I was wrong. Hand up, I was wrong. He stinks. He is so bad. I can't believe I made that take. I feel bad for even making that take, but you know what will feel good? That my Rebs winning the Mountain West for the first time, probably first time ever. We made a bowl. If people are trying to poach you from the outside, they're throwing their stones. That means you're doing something right. Jameson's going out at it all wrong like he usually is. He's thinking about these weird made-up storylines, his fantasy fan fiction that he likes to cast on these teams. You know what? Barry Odom's going to have these guys ready. It's over, Jameson. 2.5, UNLV, book it. Oh, this one. Oh, Jameson, I can't wait to watch you weep. 2 p.m. Central Time.
Man,
I think we need to broker a side bet here. With us imminently going to the desert. I don't know. I feel like
Malort in the desert.
I'm sure they do somewhere. They got everything in the desert. I was gonna say it's like if UNLV wins, then maybe Jameson buys Blake a UNLV Mountain West champion shirt.
No, I don't even need that. We'll keep the Malort.
Let's do a
Jameson,
Malort bet.
We haven't had one in a while, Jameson. And I think it should be, this isn't a regular season game. Championship. 2 shots of Malort right now. How you feeling? You better go in. If you feel good about those Boise State Broncos, it's a championship game. It's nut up or shut up this week.
My rum tum tum is just gurgling and ready for some Malort in my belly. So give me that bet.
Yes, we have a Malort bet back in the books. Let's go. All right, I'm so excited for this Mountain West Championship game. Let's move on to the remainder of the Power 5, though. That was a great way to end the Group of 5. And we're starting with the Louisville Cardinal, 10-2, a surprising 10-2 in Jeff Brom's first season as head coach of the Cardinal. They are 6-5-1 against the spread. They're playing this one in Charlotte against the Florida State Seminoles, 12-0, 7-5 against the spread, but limping into the college football playoff, potentially. Knowles favored by 2.5 here. You can find this one 7 p.m. Central on ABC. Blake, look, difficult couple weeks for both of these programs. Louisville losing a tough one to Kentucky. Florida State, without Jordan Travis, has been scrapping it out. Who do you think wins this one, and who do you think covers? I mean, same question pretty much, but...
This is a hard one. This one makes me clam up a little bit just because both these teams are kind of bad. Like Louisville, we said it from the beginning of the season. We knew they were going to have a somewhat good year. Not this, but it was definitely one of the win totals we highlighted. We saw the bakery of a schedule. We saw the bakery from miles away. We knew it was there, and they did their job. Honestly, but that loss to Kentucky, and then Florida State just, I think, is an elite team, but Tate Rodemaker stinks. He sucks. He is so bad. I was listening to podcasts a lot last week, a lot of them with FSU grads, yada, 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 hyping him up. He stunk. He sucked against Florida. Oh, this one's hard. This one's hard. Head and heart. You know what? I gotta go with my heart here. I want to see the mayhem. I want to see the madness at the end of it. Florida State. Give me Florida State. I want to see the committee have to make a decision on this team. They're gonna win by like 3 points barely. I bet they win on a game-winning field goal. I think this matchup is gonna be so close. Like, I just think Louisville hasn't separated itself as a actually good team. Like, they did their job against a bad schedule. Just Florida State, those Jared Verse and like some of those other guys are just NFL quality dudes, and I just can't go against that. Like, pass rush still travels, like defense still travels. They just don't have a quarterback, but they also have like Trey Benson and like other guys. So I just talent over like this hype of Louisville. Give me Florida State.
Yeah, shout out Bobby. It's Louisville Cardinals, not Stanford Cardinal. Ball not knower over here.
Okay, whatever.
Okay, but it's fine. It's fine. I just wanted to call. Anytime I get the opportunity to call someone a ball not knower, because Blake's been throwing around that name like he doesn't even know what a ball not knower is. As the true ball knower of this podcast, I need to delegate who.
If you ate me, then or Ty, because me and Ty have honestly started melding a lot of our thoughts together as the years have
Who
gone
named
on.
you the arbiter of ball dancing?
It's just
The singular Blake Ty mind.
It's just there's certain games, right? Because people argue like, oh, Ty, you're in last place on the podcast. Not every game is a ball knower game. So a lot of these games against the spread are just throw a dart on the board. But some of these are like, it's so obvious. You have to truly not know ball to get them wrong. And Blake and I never get those wrong.
And I feel like the ultimate ball knower move is to put yourself in last place, ball know your way out of it, to show your ball knower skills.
I'm not even having to, because Jameson's just tanking for some reason. I think he thinks he's going to get like, I don't know, an extra pot of greed next year or something if he tanks.
He's going to do it for the gram.
What his strategy is right now.
I'm having so much fun with this.
He just struggles waking up in the morning.
Y'all are hating.
He struggles waking up in the morning and wants to make it harder. He wants to make it harder on himself.
This is why next year we need a second place has to also be a punishment spot, so that you get like the person in second is also like going crazy trying to figure out what they need to do to like zigzag, and then the whole pot is chaos.
and then nobody's
Jameson's
actually
doing it
picking
anyways.
games. They're just doing
for no
random
reason.
stuff.
Jameson has nothing to gain from doing this and everything to lose, and he's just lost his marbles and is going crazy.
No, that's wrong. I've got this vision of an alarm clock that I want Bobby to listen to every single moment of. And I just have it in my head. I just have it in my head. And I'm willing to take that risk for this to be a possibility. So yes, I'm sorry, Blake. I'm sure you'll make a wonderful alarm clock for one of us to listen to. But I just have this beautiful vision in my head that I'm just looking forward to so much. So yes, I am taking some risks here.
Jameson's going to win, and then Bobby's not even going to have to change his alarm clock. It's just
Jameson,
be
you know mathematically where we're at
still.
Jameson, mathematically where we're at right now, if you were to win out and I were to win out, like basically if everything you picked is correct, Ty would end up in last still. Because of what Ty and I are picking. Essentially, we would be like, you'd just be putting your wrath on the Ty.
Ooh, well, I need to start doing
Well, we're not done yet, which is why we should get into this pick.
Yeah,
okay,
no,
I'm gonna pick
Florida
State. Defense is gonna win it. Blake also not a ball not knower also is a ball not knower.
Yes, he's also not a ball not knower, correct.
Because he was a big Jack Plummer believer. Come on, quit. Next question.
He's done his job this year. He's done his job. I'm not saying he's the best quarterback in America, but he did his job. Not like dirty Taylon Green next week with Boise State Jameson.
Hey, he's got a little bit of Kyler Murray in his game, right, Blake?
Oh, God. I can't.
Okay,
I gotta stop listening to media days. Media days pollute my mind at the beginning of the year when all these coaches are hyping them up, especially these small programs. They're just trying to get a clip or a quote on the Twitter timeline that people can see. I need to stop. It's ruining my mind.
Oh my God. Okay, so because you don't get that quote out of your mind until like October.
Yeah,
you're like,
it's so
wait a second,
memorable.
this guy might not be good. But no, I feel like Louisville has had a really, really good season, but I think this is kind of where they cap out, is an ACC championship appearance. They're good enough to beat Florida State, and I think they could. But I think Florida State and Mike Norvell have enough motivation. They're this close that I think they can get them across the finish line and get this win. I think this is going to be a gnarly, gritty game, but ultimately I think Florida State top to bottom is better. And look, they can smell that Rose Bowl, Sugar Bowl, whatever. They're right there. I think they have enough in the tank across the board to get this win and get into the college football playoff. So Florida State -2.5 is the play.
This isn't, in fact, this one hurts me. This one hurts me so much because a lot of people might attack me for this, right? But there are maybe even 7 teams that are legitimately better than Florida State and that deserve to be in the playoffs more than Florida State. And I just don't see how you leave out an undefeated ACC champ from the playoffs. I think Texas would beat this team with or without Jordan Travis. I think Washington maybe is my if. Oregon would. Both the SEC teams. I think Ohio State would beat them. So,
does Oklahoma beat them?
No.
Without Jordan Travis?
No Jordan Travis. Does OU beat Florida State?
Jordan
Like, okay,
Travis,
like we play them right now. So, like,
play
they don't
them
have
right
Jordan
now.
Travis.
We play them
That's
right now,
the
neutral
double-
site
yes.
on the moon.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah. Because
yes.
OU doesn't have Levy, right? So we can just let the players call plays. And then
Seth
we
Luttrell
put
just
up-
immediately blows them out, and we're like, God, you gotta be kidding me.
Yeah,
I hope
and
Seth
then
Luttrell
on
got that
Jordan
job because he pitched the double jet sweep in his interview. He's just like,
Two jet sweeps?
he's like, I know you'll like the jet sweep. I got
Pretty
a double
sure that's a
for
legal
ya."
motion, but
Travis.
anyways.
Anyways,
Ty, I'm
yeah,
sorry, go for
I
it.
think I think it's Florida State. I don't
Ty,
I don't
this is a
believe
great
in
opportunity.
and Louisville. No, I don't like I'm not going to pick Louisville. I've never been to Louisville. I didn't support Louisville when they had what was his name? The Baltimore quarterback.
Lamar
on that.
Jackson?
Yeah, Lamar should not have won the Heisman, right? You should be ineligible for the
What do you
Heisman if you
mean?
play at a bum school. It's just like the Big 12 like awards. Like you shouldn't be receiving a Big 12 Player of the Year, or Offensive Player of the Year, whatever. Your team's not even in the Big 12 championship. That's why there weren't any OU players on, deservingly, because we
Didn't Ollie Gordon win it?
Yeah, they're in the
Did he win
championship.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, Ollie Gordon doesn't go to OU, Jameson.
I know, but you're saying like you shouldn't win it. But
I said that's why there were no OU players, and then you said didn't Ollie Gordon win it?
Okay,
Yeah.
cool. Never mind. Carry on.
Are you protesting Louisville because of their excommunication of the Papa John?
I don't get that joke. Oh, Papa John.
Yeah.
They removed Papa John.
Oh, I forgot about Papa John, the Day of Reckoning guy. Yeah,
It's coming.
he's known for
We're
known
still
for
waiting
another
for
quote
it.
as well. There's
We're
a couple
still-
quotes he's known for.
To be fair, he did say that like in
a
like
week
December
before COVID.
Yeah,
like
this-
a week before
like,
COVID came out.
January 2020, and then he's like, "There will be a reckoning. I ate 60 pizzas in 30 days."
No, he said it in November 2019. That's what it
Oh
was.
God.
I like how I went from not knowing what that guy's name was to knowing, and you can fact check me on this, exactly when he said a certain quote. But again, like I said, he's known for a couple different quotes, that Papa John.
Florida State.
Yeah, Florida State.
Sorry, Ty. I feel like I screwed up your speech there.
No, no, that was the end of it. I was
Okay.
There was a comedic pause for people to be like, "What else is Papa John known for saying?"
apparently, Papa John still has a fully decked out suite at Louisville Stadium that nobody ever goes into because he still owns it, but never wants to use it. So it's just like sitting there, creepily in the corner. I don't know. Papa John, very weird. I know way too much about Papa John. Let's move on to the next game. It's the Iowa Hawkeyes. Somehow, some way in the Big 12 championship, 10-2 overall, 6-5-1 against the spread in the Big 10 championship in Indianapolis against the Michigan Wolverines, 12-0, 6-5-1 against the spread. Michigan favored by 22 in this one. Find this one 7 p.m. Central on Fox. Ty, who do you like in this one?
this is why with the current and where we're seeing college football go right now, you really can't have a divisional system
Yep.
in
Yep.
conferences anymore. Like this
Yep.
is a literal crime that this is the game. Give me Michigan. I am all in on Michigan. I wasn't that big on them until they punished Harbaugh just enough just to give this Michigan team literally the one piece that they were missing, which was the motivation to feel like they're an underdog and feel like they need to show everyone. Literally, that's the punishment in air quotes of Harbaugh. Literally, just did enough just to kind of annoy them, which is hilarious. They've steeled this team against adversity. I think they go out. There is tremendous look ahead in this one, especially with 22 points is a lot, right? Because you win this one by 14. It's still respectable, and you're preparing your team, to look forward. So I would not be surprised if Michigan screws someone that picks Michigan, because if I'm Michigan and I get up by 14, I'm going to coast. I'm not going to risk anyone getting hurt. My eyes are on not even the first round of the playoffs. My eyes are on the national championship this year. So that worries me, but give me Big Blue minus 22, riding with the hot hand, as Bobby would say.
Yeah, Michigan certainly hot. They really are. And my thing is, I think they're mad. This is Jim Harbaugh's first game back on the sidelines since his suspension. And I think they want to send a message to the Big Ten here. And what better team to send it towards than against the hapless Iowa Hawkeyes, who have been horrible at getting in the end zone. They just Michigan's biggest strength is their defense. I would say would Iowa possibly get shut out in this game? I kind of think they might. I think Michigan really rubs their nose in this one, rubs the entire Big Ten's office's nose in this, and just blows out Iowa. Michigan minus 22 is the play. So I don't know. I feel like Michigan's at a different level right now. And Iowa, look, I gotta say, like you said earlier, Ty, I'm so glad that we've gotten rid of divisions. This Big Ten championship game has been an absolute farce for years, and I'm very glad to be done with it, because this is a joke. It's been a joke for years.
You got to yeah. I don't understand why Penn State's boosters aren't begging to get put in the other division. They could at least make it can they buy their way into the other one and at least make it to the championship game every year?
That's the thing.
Yeah.
I never understood these divisions, because the West Division, or Leaders or Legends, whenever it was contrived, has never been better. It's always been.
It's never even been
the Eastern Division has been significantly better.
It's not like at least you had Nebraska in the Big 12 North for a bit until it fell off, and it was just Missouri wins every year and then gets smoked by either OU or Texas.
That's the thing is, when it was Leaders and Legends, it was actually good because they split them up by how good the team is. But then they went geographical, and that's when everything went to hell, because it doesn't make sense. There's nobody good in the Big Ten West. Everyone's good in the Big Ten East. So yeah, maybe we shouldn't have. Maybe we treated Leaders and Legends too harshly, because
I never did. I
liked
liked
it.
System. I liked it.
I think we really just insulted the name because it sounded really dumb. The name was dumb. But yeah, Jameson, who do you like?
I'm going with Michigan as well here. Ty brought up a point. There is a scare that Michigan could coast, but then Bobby also talked about, the motivation that they have. Even if they take out their first string, they're going to be running the ball up, and their second string running back is absolutely stellar in Donovan Edwards. Blake Corum, Donovan Edwards, great two-headed monster. So I still think they're going to have plenty of talent to get the cover here, even if it does come down to the fourth quarter.
Yeah, this one's an easy one for me. When the books are releasing lines earlier in the week that the team total for each half for Iowa is under 0.5 points. They're expecting them to score absolutely nothing, if anything, a field goal. It's just, Iowa hasn't played a team like Michigan this year. Not even close. It's the best offense they played is Rocco Becht and in Iowa State, and that was when they were really bad, and Matt Campbell was like off the handlebars, like screaming at people and stuff like that. Like they were horrible back then, and like Iowa always dominates Iowa State, so I don't put much credit into it. I don't think Michigan's offense is elite per se, but I think they're pretty good. And just looking at like Iowa's defense, it's like Iowa's defense is great, but I think they're probably just as good as Ohio State, just as good as Penn State, and like Michigan put over 24, either 24 or above in those two games, and I don't know if I was going to score. So I just feel like even though Michigan loves to have these like low scoring bouts, it's like this one has like 35-3 written all over it. It's just, yeah, I don't see the plan for Iowa to score.
Yeah, I mean, why would anyone pick a team that we legitimately do not think will score?
Yep. It's like, and Cade McNamara was talking about, he's like, I'm giving them all the plays, all the playbooks. I'm like, for what? What are you going to do with that? Like, you could give them, like, directions on how to stop every single one of their plays, and you still probably couldn't beat them just because they're better athletes than you. Like, that's the thing. I'm like...
Yeah, they can literally just run halfback dive over and over again, and they will beat you because they're bigger, they're stronger, and they know exactly how to do this thing.
The
not
Eagles
that hard
strategy.
to figure out.
Yeah.
Yeah. Come on. Yeah, this is silly.
And
all
also, my hot take for this game, I think Kirk Ferentz retires after this one. I think he's done.
Jeez.
Wow.
I think with his son going and the divisions going away, I think he sees the writing on the walls. A 10-3 Iowa season is great. Like great considering their offense.
Well, maybe 11.
Crap. Maybe 11. Yeah, with the bowl game.
They might get OU in the bowl.
Okay.
I think Ferentz is gone. So
I gotta say, funniest thing about this is if it was 2024, Iowa would have a shot if they won this game at getting a first round bye in the college football playoffs.
Yep.
the new playoff system's gonna be so dumb, and I love it.
But that's why I'm glad conferences are going away. They've kind of planned this as like, okay, we're going away from divisions because like this game actually means something to get to a playoff spot. Like we can't, like these upsets rarely happen, but like you can't have Iowa taking one of the spots. You just can't.
No, for sure not. For sure not.
Just very short before we move on, Blake, I do have to give you a shout out. I very much appreciate you mentioning the true fact that the toughest offense that Iowa's faced this year is in fact Iowa State, because Penn State is garbage.
Yep.
Yeah, very true.
Iowa State,
I almost
agree
third
with
best
that.
team. Look, if BYU finished the job, Iowa State would have been the third best team in the Big 12. They were that close. Moving on to our next.
I'm so done. Before we go on to the next one, I am so done with the Big Ten media complex, and because they have so many of them, they pump me like my earful before the season that Penn State's better, Juilliard's good. They just pump me with like, this is going to be a good Penn State team, and it's the most underwhelming team I've ever seen in my entire life. I'm done with it. I'm like so glad that we get some like new blood, I guess, in this conference for me to go away, because it's like you just have to search for somebody besides Michigan or Ohio State, and I always have to lay it on Penn State. It's gonna be one of those the four newcomers. Hopefully, I think Oregon's by far gonna be the third best, I think. But yeah, I'm so done with having to try to believe like Penn State's an actual good team and can cause some havoc. I should be like Ty that just knows that Penn State's not going to be good. Like, I'm tired of being like, this is a different Penn State team, I promise.
James Franklin has changed.
Nope, still the exact same James Franklin.
And he's still going to get a raise in the offseason, probably.
Let's move on to the next one. By God, is that Brett Yormark's music? It's the Big 12 Championship presented by WWE. It's the Oklahoma State Cowboys 9-3 overall, 7-5 against the spread against the Texas Longhorns, 11-1, 6-5-1 against the spread. Horns favored by 15. You can find this one 11 a.m. Central on ABC. That's a slobber knocker. That's a horrible JR impression. I don't even know. I was not planning on doing that. I just did it. Blake, take it away. Who do you like in this game?
Yeah, I've seen enough of Oklahoma State. They've screwed around with my feelings. Had BYU on the ropes last week. They like to go down in the first halves, I feel like, and try to storm back in the second. Texas is on a mission. I just feel like they something has finally clicked in that locker room where they have gotten rid of those curses. It's done for them. I think Texas just comes out and smacks them. Just smacks them. The only worry is I feel like Mike Gundy always plays Texas close, but I know Ollie Gordon's a bum. I bought into the hype,
you.
and I should have
Whoa.
known. I agree with Ty. Ollie Gordon's
This is a ball
bum.
nowhere take.
Is a bum. He had that 3 stretch of games where I bought into him, and every time you need him the most, he seems to let you down. He should be running all over BYU. He should be running all over all these other teams, but Texas has played Alabama. They were able to stop the run them. They are just gonna smack around this OSU team, but I am so excited for this game. I'm so excited for the pageantry. I wish I was going. I want to see the WWE wrestlers. I want to see the belt being hoisted. I want to see Nelly at halftime finally, I don't believe in bands in college football. Like, they can sit in the stands and play along. I'm fine with that, but I don't believe in bands with the halftime shows. We should not be having a halftime that is longer than, 2 episodes of The Office. I'm
It's
sick
15
of it.
minutes long, Blake. What are you talking about?
No, they're significantly longer than that for some reason. That's one of the things the NFL does right. Keep the halftime short, get them back on the field. I'm sick of the bands at halftime.
Casual corporate take. I hate it.
No, this is not a
Blake.
casual corporate take.
No,
What are they going to do?
no.
Play the same set they've done the last 5 weeks that I've seen them? Most bands, of course, there are some bands that are good that'll learn new things each week. They're playing the same stuff every time. I'm seeing the same. It's Groundhog's Day
When I
every
talk
time.
about pageantry,
Oh.
you're talking about pageantry, and you're like, oh, Nelly. But Nelly is not pageantry.
But it's
Nelly
gonna be
is-
cool. It's different. It's fun. It's incorporating the bands into an actual
It's
performance of a
boring.
musical artist. Yes. No.
It's lame. It's lame as hell. It's a
because-
how do you do fellow kids move.
No, it is going to be fun. It's going to be interesting. It's going to be electric. Everybody loves Nelly songs. That's the one thing. Everybody loves Nelly songs. Everybody knows it's a bit. Yes, it is. Feels like a frat party pick to bring Nelly in for a concert, like that mid-2000s rapper, but everybody knows the stuff. It's gonna be interesting. It's gonna be fun. I don't want to see the same halftime stuff over and over again, and Bobby's gonna point to oh, look at this band, look at that band. 90% of the college bands aren't doing that. 95, I would actually say even go higher. It's an abomination, but it's gonna be a fun game. I enjoy the random quirks that they bring into this championship game, so give me the Longhorns. Let's see. Boom, boom.
There we
it
go.
is. There it is.
Beautiful.
I still don't know why it does it.
I still don't either, but
I
will
genuinely
take it.
think that's a camera feature.
I have no idea. I've looked. I've downloaded the apps, looked through all the settings, every setting.
Have you tried to do it on Zoom?
No, I have not. But I'm not on Zoom at home, so
Yeah,
maybe
but
I
we
should
need to
try
give
that.
it a try just to see
Yeah.
if your camera randomly does that every time you do that. Okay,
But-
anyways.
Give me the Longhorns.
Yeah, I agree. I'm going to go Texas here as well. Oklahoma State. I'll say this. Ollie Gordon, I think, is talented, but he's looked like a bum to y'all because they have run him into the absolute dirt. This guy's getting 30, 35, carries a game. You expect him to stay healthy through all of that. This dude limps to the sideline every single time, and they continue to run him into the dirt. I mean, I at least got to acknowledge that as in, come on. Help this guy out. He's, a young student athlete that hasn't had this kind of volume, all of a sudden thrusted into this kind of volume. That's why he's fallen off. No one can maintain the pace that he was doing at the beginning of the season. And that's why he was getting so big numbers, because he had so many opportunities. Okay, off that soapbox, I think Texas, like y'all have said, the whole Big 12 thing, they have a vendetta. They're not going to get their foot off of the gas. And I think that they're going to bludgeon Oklahoma State in the first half and keep the lead throughout the second half. Give me Texas by 20.
Oh, this is a tough one. And I know you're probably going to pull the, OSU sleeper agent, blah, blah, blah.
Oh, here he goes.
I mean, I know the numbers. Look, the last time Texas was in the Big 12 championship and the national won a Big 12 championship rather, 2009. since then, Oklahoma State is 9-4 against the Longhorns. They have owned this series more than, like, they have owned Texas more than pretty much everybody, even OU. So that gives me a lot of pause here. 15 is a big number, but I've seen what I've seen the past couple weeks with Oklahoma State, and I don't think it's because they're not focused. Surely it can't be. Last week they were a game away from beating BYU. If you look at their schedule, they have, like, we like to talk about how OU had a bakery of a schedule. OSU had an even bigger bakery of a schedule. You know, you played all 4 newcomers. You played the 2 Kansas teams, Iowa State, and then Oklahoma. And you beat OU at home. You had most of the tough ones at home, and you struggled with everybody else, it felt like. I just don't think that Oklahoma State is a serious team this year. They've done well to get to this point. What Mike Gundy has done, given this roster, what Ollie Gordon has done, dragging this team across the finish line to this point is impressive. And I don't care if some people call him a bum, whatever. That's ridiculous. Gordon is a hell of a player. They have been riding this guy's ass off this season. That being said, Texas is just too well equipped to stop Gordon. You know, OSU has not faced a defense like Texas this entire season. They will grind their bones to make their bread. And not only that, but Oklahoma State's defense, horrible, incredibly vulnerable to big passing plays. I feel like Quinn Ewers and Texas end up having an edge on this one. I think they feast. I think they get this Big 12 championship to ride off into the sunset into the SEC. So Texas minus 15 is the play.
Do the horns, Bobby.
No.
So where's
I
this
did it
OSU
one time,
sleeper
and
agent?
Islandstein won't let me
First off,
live it down.
Where's this OSU sleeper agent tease that you gave us, Bobby?
I was going to say I thought it was going to be close, but I think Texas pulls away.
So let's.
What then? Close? I'm not following here. How's that
Not
OSU
close
sleeper
enough.
agent?
I honestly, like, midway through it was like, I can't go with OSU.
That's what I'm getting at. I knew it. I knew you absolutely flipped the switch. I knew it. I just had to make you say it.
I just started thinking about it more and more. I'm like, you know, like, I know they're feisty. I know the history's there, but I mean, just facts. You know, Oklahoma State just doesn't have it in them. They really don't. They just really don't.
Yeah, there's some important things to remember. Like, someone has seen fit to award Mike Gundy Big 12 Coach of the Year. So he's secured his contract for at least the next 2 years with that award. So he has no reason to even come to this game. I would not be surprised if there's just someone who vaguely resembles him, which is just the most, like, Mike Gundy just vaguely resembles Mike Gundy to begin with. So he could easily be replaced by a body double. Second, Ollie Gordon, right? Let's get this. This is not a bit. This is a completely objective take here. He is a good player, right? I only started to jump on this bum thing because certain people, not on this podcast, but certain people started to throw around the Heisman thing for him, which is objectively absurd. If you're going to put
someone on Twitter did say that he was. I'm not trying to roast anybody.
No.
Roast them.
No,
because
we roast on this
leave
show.
It anonymous.
It's a
Leave
sellout. It's a sellout crowd person.
Indeed. I know exactly who you're talking
Well,
about.
Shout out
probably-
Sam Mays. He is great. Love
Here's
the
the
guy.
thing.
But he did say he was essentially Adrian Peterson reincarnate. Which
and that's a good point. That leads into my next point, right?
Yeah.
If you guys are going to say that he needs to be judged with the Heisman frame in this season, that's absurd, right? And Jameson will say, which is maybe a fair criticism, Ollie Gordon has been doing poorly because they've been having to rely on him a bunch, right? I just pulled this up just to check. Adrian Peterson in 2004, a legitimate running back Heisman contender season, was averaging almost 8 more carries per game than Ollie Gordon is now, and he was still putting up numbers fine. That's what you see from a Heisman caliber, like, should be in the voting running back, right? You don't have durability issues where a guy is getting beat up in the Big 12 because he has to carry it, on average 20 times per game. Get out of here with that. That's good. That's really good in the scope of college football. But if you're going to put the Heisman frame on him, get out of here, right? He's like the running back version of Quinn Ewers, who If he weren't playing in this game, I would like to see the line be Texas like minus 22. But Quinn Ewers is in fact playing, so give me Texas minus 15. This has got to be a battle of like the two most overhyped for no reason offensive players, maybe in college football, if that LSU quarterback didn't exist.
I think
Who's about to win
comparing
the
him to
Heisman,
Adrian
probably.
Peterson is just ridiculous to begin with, and saying that since he's not like Adrian Peterson makes him a bum is also ridiculous. You can't.
But
play
you're talking about a
hot-
running back. But again, like framing for the Heisman, you're talking about a running back who wasn't good enough. Like I guarantee if I pull up Reggie Bush's stats, for
But
his
is he a
Heisman year-
bum if you're even like having to
He's not a
consider
bum,
this?
like-
No, he's not a bum.
But you're
He's a
not.
very good
No
running
one
back.
is seriously considering Ollie Gordon for Heisman.
Like, he's probably not going to make the New York, you would say.
But I mean, you
I'd
can't.
be
You
shocked
cannot
if
say
that.
that a guy averaging 20 carries per game and
He'll get
facing
votes.
like durability issues is being overworked. Like statistically,
Well,
that's not being overworked.
He has durability issues because he's overworked. Because
No,
they're
but
grinding him into the
statistically,
ground.
20 carries a game is not over. Like I guarantee
Is that the
there's-
average?
Well,
Yes,
I mean, the
that's his
average is
current
dipped
average.
down because they gave him 4 against South Alabama.
Yeah, that's right. Because I was like, I know there's something that's taking that down because he's been like the 30s, like 30.
Yeah, but even if you don't look at the average,
The
Adrian
season
Peterson had like
completely
100
changed.
more carries.
and yeah, he
than
started off the
Ollie
season
Gordon.
like where he only had 7, 9, and 3. So
Yeah,
I mean,
because Mike Gundy,
he's been
as
upper
usual,
20s.
Because Mike
Okay, but
Gundy, as
even-
usual,
even
didn't
if
realize he had gold right under his damn nose, and
Okay,
that's
but
why
if-
they're 9-3.
If he were upper 20s, like at 2004, Peterson had almost 100 more carries than Ollie Gordon does now. So
Adrian
like,
Peterson is the biggest
but
specimen
give
of
Ollie-
a person who just you cannot talk about
Oh,
injuries
I
or
guarantee
health.
I'd pull
This
up-
dude returned back most effective and healthiest from an ACL injury out of any other player in the NFL ever. This dude is
It's-
just
I'll pull up
all-
Reggie Bush. I can pull up
all like
DeMarco Murray. I
injury and
guarantee he had
health.
more carries.
Adrian Peterson does not like you cannot put him in a box. So comparing the way he did things versus another player is just not even fair.
I mean, we're essentially, yeah, we can't compare him with the greatest running backs of all time because he's not that. But he's
But
really
those
good.
are Heisman. Like I'll pull up Derrick Henry stats. I'll pull up like
No,
people
Derrick
want
every
Henry's
to.
a
Heisman's
Heisman
created
winner.
equal.
But that's
Yeah.
exactly my point, though. Is people start to say, "Oh, he's Heisman level," then you compare him to Heisman players.
Who's
Heisman
a
level
running
players.
back that you guys can think
I
of?
guarantee
That was
compare him to
Heisman
DeMarco Murray.
conversation, but not.
I'll pull up DeMarco Murray's stats right now. I guarantee he had more carries per game.
I mean,
He
look
did
at
have
the
an
numbers.
injury
maybe-
issue, I guess,
Like
though.
he
Maybe
was putting
not.
up, he was putting numbers over his hottest stretch that surpassed some of Adrian Peterson's in freshman year. Just saying. Anyways, let's move on to our next game. It's our last one, the SEC championship. It's the Alabama Crimson Tide, 11-1, 8-4 against the spread. They're taking on Georgia in Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Atlanta to take on the Bulldogs, who are 12-0, 5-7 against the spread. Georgia favored by 5.5 here. You can find this one 3 p.m. Central on CBS. Last CBS game in the SEC era. So that'll be, I don't know, probably not emotional, but it's the last time you can hear that music when you watch an SEC game. So that's something, I guess. Ty, kick us off here. Who do you like?
Look, this one, this is hard to do for me. There's so many factors at play here. I think on paper, everyone healthy, Bama wins this game outright. I also think that currently, as these teams are going to play, I got to go with the Dogs. Kirby Smart is a very good coach. They built something tremendous there. They are a little bit healthier. I understand, people are going, oh, they can't beat Alabama that many times, like in a row. Bama has not fallen off. I think Bama is, depending on what we see from them in this game, they might be eliminated from the playoff. The playoff picture might get crazy if Bama wins this. But I like the Dogs in this one. I understand that's kind of the safe bet, the easy bet. Jameson's going to hate me. I could see Alabama winning this one outright. But I think 75% of the time, the Dogs get the cover. So give me the Dogs.
This is the first time these two teams have played, believe it or not, since that 2022 national championship game in Indianapolis. Because keep in mind, never play in the regular season, and they didn't play in the SEC championship last year. I'm gonna go with the Dogs as well. I feel like as a program, they have advanced past Alabama, past that state where they're both kind of similar. I think Kirby Smart has, I don't want to say he's figured it out, because that championship win was a big deal. It was different. But this Alabama team isn't the same. They feel squishier. They're a fourth down miracle away from losing to Auburn. They don't feel the same. And yeah, Georgia at times has looked bad. They haven't looked great, or not bad, but they don't look like they normally are. They don't look dominant. But when they stop playing with their food, we've seen it time and time again. They rip the hearts out of their opponent. And to me, I just haven't seen that out of Alabama. And I don't think they're capable of doing that against a Georgia team that hates their guts, that knows that Alabama is that standard. Kirby Smart's going to bring his A game here. I think Georgia's going to win this one big. 5.5 is the play.
Mm-hmm. I've thought about it. This one's real. I've went back and forth on this. Obviously, whenever Ty brought up the odds, whenever it first opened, that they both clinched this game, it came out at 2.5. He's like, slam Georgia. Completely agree with that. If you could have gotten the Georgia at 2.5, that seems so easy. When it goes up to 5.5, Bobby, you mentioned it in this history. We've had some pretty close games, some competitive games. I just don't like the way this Alabama offense has competed versus really competitive, strong defenses this year, to where I think they can keep up enough with Georgia and their ability to score the ball. I don't feel confident in this one. I've been putting on a big confident face for the whole podcast for all these picks, but this one I'm not cool with it, but I'm going to go ahead and go Georgia 5.5.
Yeah, this one was hard for me too, but really what cemented it was last week when Jaden Milroe is going off the field and he's screaming, "Give me my Heisman." And I'm like, my brother in Christ, you were benched this year at one point because of your horrible play. You are not sniffing the Heisman. You're not going close to New York City. I think Georgia, people are going to point to, if you were going to go, maybe they aren't as good last week versus Georgia Tech, a not good Georgia Tech team at all. But I just felt like they were running 3-4 plays every single down. They weren't throwing anything out there because they knew they could just beat that team. They just didn't have to show anything because Georgia's significantly better. And I just think Carson Beck's legit. He's not going to win the Heisman, but, he is a significant upgrade at quarterback from what they've had. Stetson Bennett, it's night and day. This guy's incredible. They just don't have the same dogs on defense to make them that truly, truly elite team. But this line just keeps sneaking up. Everybody has their faith on Georgia. I just feel like I got to back the big money here, so give me Georgia.
All right, clean sweep for the Dogs. Pretty much, look, we've been in agreement for really every Power 5 championship game except for the Pac-12, where Jameson was an island boy on Washington. So it seems like we're all pretty in line with everything here. But guys, that's it for this season of the Weekend Spread. Obviously, we'll have bowl picks as well, but those won't count. But guys, I've really enjoyed this year. What's wrong? What do you mean?
I just realized I've clinched the loss.
No, you have not, Ty.
No, Bobby and I are only different on 2, and even if I win them both,
wait, you have clinched the loss.
At the very worst, I do the loss with you.
Yes.
What are you doing? You had an opportunity.
Who's not? Who's
Oh,
caught?
man.
Not
I
boy.
love
this
that
is
tie.
this is poor gamesmanship.
Hey, show it to everyone, Ty.
This is poor gamesmanship for me because I was like, oh, I'm picking last, so.
Oh yeah,
That's a tough.
I had the
no.
timing wrong. I was like, if
That's
we go
tough.
down and we're not separated by 3, I have to throw the last one.
Oh,
Ty,
Show
that's a
us
tough
that
one.
cup.
Should have
Show us
gone with
that
the
cup
tie.
to the camera right now. What you drinking from?
It's Burger King.
Oh, yes, it is. And you are going to love that Whopper song.
Oh no, Jameson, that's what you have on deck, isn't
but
it?
there's much, much more to it, Bobby. Stay tuned.
Oh no. Well, no, I do not intend on losing. Ty, I intend on that being a punishment you face alone.
So let's break it down, listeners. So Bobby and Ty have a chance to tie for the last place if Miami of Ohio loses to Toledo as an 8-point under. So if they don't cover the spread, is an 8-point dog. And then the other game that they're different is Liberty, New Mexico State. And Liberty for Ty is a 10.5-point favorite. So if Liberty
it's going to come down to
Toledo,
Ohio.
Wait.
Liberty, New Mexico State.
Liberty's
gonna
going
know
to crank
very
New Mexico
early.
State now, and it's going to be.
There's also 2 possibilities because Jameson and I are different on 4,
Yes.
and we are also 4 apart. So there is also a scenario where both Jameson and I also.
So there's a chance where Jameson goes in the pit too.
There's Ty losing outright, Ty and Bobby losing, or Ty and Jameson losing.
Ty, you botched this so hard, like on so many levels. God.
Ty screwed up by just
Give me
trying
a
to
special.
do good at picking.
Let's pull a Big 12 and change the rules. Give me the tie. Can we do that? Can we reinterpret the rules?
I don't know. What would that even be?
Not.
Oh, I could give you a wild card for young.
No, wait. Didn't we
young
say?
boys?
Didn't we say?
You can pick the young boys game straight up.
Didn't we already say that if we do have a tie, we're going to Army Navy?
That's for the winner. That's for the winner. For the person who gets to choose.
Well, let's make it for the loser too.
No, I want double losers because we had double dog losers one time.
Okay. In the future, what we need to do to split tiebreakers is wild card record.
No, because I think I like the idea that we all tie at the end of the year and we all lose. That doesn't mean you all win, you all lose.
Loses. It'd be funny if we all win. We all get the golden fedora, but also everybody has to do the punishment too. Like together. No, that's fun. But guys, another great season. Always happy to do this with y'all. It's been a real pleasure to do this with y'all every Wednesday. Still got a couple Wednesdays with us with or whatever days. We haven't really figured out our bowl schedule yet, but always a pleasure, always a blessing to hang out with y'all. Really fun. It's never not fun, and I never don't appreciate it. And I really appreciate your time and your effort and all of these picks. I mean, maybe don't appreciate your effort as much whenever I'm trying to struggle to not win every week. But overall, always just a blast. We've been grinding on this since preseason to now. It's crazy how fast it goes. Faster every year. But I'm looking forward to soaking up this last bit of college football with y'all and figuring out some fun stuff in the off season and. Got a lot of cool stuff with the weekend spread next year that we'll sort out. Blake, don't worry, we're not going to lock out the Big 12 entirely.
Sure. It always starts with a small peace offering, and then it gets smaller and smaller each time. But that's what I gotta do. If y'all limit the slate to mostly SEC games, I gotta go on y'all's turf, just beat you again, and then we'll all be good. Because
Blake, if you had to pick an SEC team, who would you pick?
Oh, I don't know. I've been thinking about this because I'm like, I kind of have to, and you can't go choose Vandy just because you have nothing against them because you want to see something. So maybe that might be a good off-season pod. Y'all pitch me different teams, or maybe y'all pitch me OU, and then I can determine whether I want to join or not.
You're not gonna roll with Vanderblake?
No,
yeah, I don't think they would work well with the Commodores. So
well, I mean. You do have ties to Texas A&M, kind of.
Yes.
So, that's a tough pull.
I don't know if I want to go full Aggie, though.
No, don't do that.
No, you never go full Aggie. Never.
Yeah,
you got to be a 2%er.
And I don't think I could be a world beater. I definitely can't do Georgia. Can't side with Bama. So, who knows? Yeah, there's a lot of it's so hard. I'm basically gonna do a process of elimination, and then I'll end up with one team because I have gripes against just about every single one of them.
It's gonna be Florida Blake. He's gonna be doing the
That's what I'm saying. The Gator.
That's it. He's a huge
Blake is Florida. That makes too much sense.
Yeah, he's gonna have an AR-15 jersey.
My god, it's perfect.
That I was going through my head. I was like, that's probably the one I hate the least. I don't really have any gripes against them.
Gator Blake. That's funny. But yeah, y'all, final words on the weekend spread before we wrap this thing up.
I'm so excited to make your alarm clock, Bobby. Just wait. Just wait.
No, it's
gonna
not
be
happening.
a beautiful concoction. There is a scenario. Let me break it down for you.
I know it exists.
I know it exists. And I have to run the table essentially with it, but it's okay. 6 games essentially have to all go a certain way. So if Liberty covers the spread versus New Mexico State, Toledo covers the spread, and then also Appalachian State covers the spread, Washington covers the spread, Boise State covers the spread, and that's it. That is it.
So, yeah.
Bobby doesn't lose in that scenario, though.
That would be tie. Right?
Hmm?
Am I
Pardon
wrong
me?
on that?
What do you? Jameson is so confused.
We
He's just looking
we
at
are not
Jameson,
smart
you-
enough to do this
Jameson,
live.
you and I
figure out
being on New Mexico State together means that tie would be last.
See, this is why
Because of the
we
Liberty
should
pick.
have number 2 punishment as well, because then Jameson will be locked into like 2 different scenarios where he's losing. And
Now
then,
all
like,
I've got to
one where he
do.
can win.
All I've got to do is beat Blake. So therefore, I've got to make up 3 games versus him.
Yeah.
And so if the Liberty one, I can lose that one. That's fine because Blake and I are both on New Mexico State. The
So you
big
just
ones
gotta
are the
tie
ones where I'm
Blake.
on the island. Yes. And so it'd be
Well, you can't tie-
Washington.
You
Well-
can't beat me though, Jameson.
But then we
unless
go
you
into
can-
Army Navy. Then we go into Army
And then you
Navy.
go on to Army Navy and try to beat them there. Okay,
Mhm.
that makes sense.
But what happens if we
Um,
pick the same in Army Navy?
No, because
Okay.
we do a secret
It's
score
picking
pick behind the
score, yeah.
scenes
Right, yeah.
where we don't know. We both put
Oh,
in
it's a
some
score.
ether.
Oh, it's a score pick.
One of
Okay,
those
I
sort
didn't
of
realize.
things,
I
yeah,
thought it was
yeah,
against.
yeah.
And that's confusing considering we're on the show called The Weekend Spread, and we're now just
Well,
choosing
well.
scores.
Oh,
If
but
both of us
it's-
pick opposite spreads, then you keep it like that. But if we both pick the score, there has to be a second tiebreaker
okay,
to it.
okay,
Gotcha.
fair.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's the show. I'm guessing nobody else has anything to say.
No, it's been
anyone?
a great season. I love being able to chop it up with all you every single Wednesday. The good thing is we're going nowhere. We still got bowls, and bowls are exciting. They're a little bit unpredictable nowadays with all the opt-outs and other crazy things, but they are still fun. The passion still gets going. We can still talk about the teams that we hate, the teams that we love. And then before you know it, rolling around the corner, and I know it's a long ways away, but it's sooner than you know it, the March Madness pod, my favorite one of the year. So I am excited. It's one of those things. It's sad when this ends, but we have so many fun things that we do in the off season and past just conference championship week that I know we'll be on the pod soon together,
Yeah.
all 4 of us again.
Yeah, and we'll try to find more ways to get us all together because I think this is always fun. Ty, any final words?
No, I think we've exhausted them.
I think we definitely have exhausted them. And look, there are probably not a lot of viewers or listeners still left at this point after we had a robust conversation about tiebreakers.
No, that's what the people want to hear.
Clearly,
People
that's
want to
what-
know
that's-
the alarm clock.
They watch college football for weekend spread results. Let's just be upfront. But no, I wanted to thank y'all, the listeners, for following with us every single week. It's been great seeing your comments from folks like, Lord King Big Nuts and Timothy. It's just always fun seeing this thing roll along and build more of a following year after year after year. And we appreciate you, y'all allowing us to be a part of your college football season. We hope it really helps add a little bit of flavor, a little bit of pop, because this is the greatest sport on the planet. I love it more than any sport, hands down. It's special because of the fans, because of the passion, because of the weird stuff that we love to just bring up and celebrate. And we love that we found a bit of an audience with people who also love that. So thank you guys for watching us this entire season. And look, the off season, we will be here as well. We will keep this thing going. If you're a Big 12 fan, we'll still give lots of love to the Shield, lots of love to the Big 12 as well. We aren't going anywhere. We are going to focus on this region of college football because we do love it. And even though the SEC is changing a lot, that won't change. Weekend spread, Schooner Pod ain't changing much. So anyways, for me, Jameson, Ty, and Blake, Boatin' Blake, this has been the Weekend Spread. Thank y'all all so much for listening to us this entire season. And we will see you for bowl season. Have a good one. Good luck out there.